Tonight on Obscured Reality, join us as we blast off in our spaceship and travel to the outermost reaches of our solar system and take a look at an object that flew through our solar system, Oumuamua. Could this object be of extraterrestrial origin? Could it be an extraterrestrial craft? Or is it just another space rock? Let's take a look. Sit down, sit back, and relax. And join us on our journey through obscured reality.
Welcome to another episode of Obscured Reality. Join your hosts, Mark, Mike, and Stephanie, as they take you through a journey of the extraordinary, bizarre, and often frightening world of the unknown. Explore topics of the paranormal, UFOs, alien abduction, lost civilizations, mythical monsters, and other unexplained mysteries. Come along with us as we transcend into another dimension of obscured reality.
Welcome back to Obscured Reality. I'm your host, Mark. Joining us tonight, your lovely co-host, Mike.
What's up, everybody?
And your other, more lovely co-host, Stevie. How's it going?
Hello.
And how all you crazy fuckers doing out there tonight? You doing good?
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. We're going to have to get Mike going. I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to try.
We'll see what depends on what the topic is.
Well, I'm not going to say it's highly interesting, but I will say it might be long. So we'll see. Yeah. You guys ever thought about traveling out in space on a rocket to an asteroid and see what it's all about, or a comet?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, hell yeah. We'll do it tonight. What about you, Stevie?
As long as it's not some Armageddon type style stuff, yeah.
No. It's Oumuamua type stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oumuamua. Okay.
Yeah, you've heard of Oumuamua, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. I sounded kind of iffy there, so I just want to make sure.
I just love the name.
You do? I had a manager once who hired a temp simply because she thought the temp's name was fun to say. The temp was the least qualified of all the others.
Oh.
Yeah. Talk about pissing a lot of people off.
Cool name. Bonus points, I guess.
Yeah, fucking sure. Meanwhile, the rest of the team works and the other person jacks off the whole day. Cool.
Yeah.
They'll never see this show, so no names. Yeah, Oumuamua. You want to talk about Oumuamua?
Yeah, let's do it.
I've looked into it a little bit. I've seen a little bit in the past. I don't know. I've never really looked too much into it. Just watched some stuff. It was kind of interesting. I like to get a lot of the different perspectives and see, because we hear a lot of different things about it, and could be this, could be that, and I want to get more perspective on. Well, what are they really saying? Are they saying definitively it's this or that? Or is it more just conjecture? Which, for the most part, is conjecture. But there are some things in here that are interesting, probably more towards the end. But how much you guys know about Oumuamua?
I know a little bit. I think I've seen... I can't remember the guy. It was the one that you told me to look up.
Avilobe?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
You've heard of Avilobe, Stevie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know much. Like, I've heard of it, but that is the extent.
Right. Well, you've heard of Avilobe, though. The scientist guy.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe you've mentioned him before, so yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you've heard stuff from him about it, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was a long time ago when I watched, I think he had something like an interview on YouTube, probably more than a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Michio Kaku has probably chimed in a bit on it, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah. I know less than him, so.
Okay, well, some of this stuff we'll probably try to fly through. We got a lot. Yeah, so Michio Kaku, I think he's chimed in a little bit on it. I'm not sure.
He probably has. I mean, that's definitely something he would talk about.
Yeah, I've seen some older stuff. What I mean is I saw some stuff more.
I want to say I've heard an episode on Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think he talked about this at one point.
Him as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Oumuamua, everyone knows, is this big, I guess we're only going to say object that came in from, they believe the outer solar. No, not the outer solar
deep
system.
Space, right?
Yes. Yeah. Out away from our solar system, from somewhere else. First of its kind, supposedly, blah, blah, blah. Not very big. Big, I guess, but really not that big. So it was originally spotted by astronomers in Hawaii. This was October 19, 2017. So they were using the Pan-STARRS telescope. They spotted it approximately 40 days after it had already passed its closest point to the sun, which was in September 2017. Okay. So they picked this thing up approximately 40 days after it had already reached its closest point to the sun. When it was first observed, its distance from Earth was approximately 85 times the distance of the moon from the Earth, and already heading away from the sun. 85 times the distance that we are from the moon. Yep.
Fuck. You're going to have a lot of editing to do this time.
If he didn't say it, I was going to say it.
Well, at least it wasn't a sneeze fart.
How do you know?
Or a sneeze start.
After what I had for dinner last night and tonight, I wouldn't be surprised either of those two comments. Jesus Christ, why is it wet?
What's that smell? Man, I thought I was going to be the smelly one smelling like a bonfire. Now I'm not. Now, at least I'm not the one who shit himself and sneezing.
Bonfire smells good.
Hey, it did.
Aren't you glad you don't have smell-o-vision?
Yes.
I'd rather smell bonfire than butt fire. So it's the simple things in life, guys. The good thing is, at least it works for bloopers, just not the show. I gotta send you a blooper one. The farts. Remember that one we did when Brad was here?
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop it. You guys were like, Mike's looking at me. He starts like doing his little giggle. I'm like, fuck.
Because I heard it came through the
headphones.
The headphones. I wasn't sure what I was hearing. And I like looked at Brad and he looked at me and then we just started laughing. Because it's like everything's muffled with this, like if it's away from the microphone.
So I went to that section and cut it out, and I boosted the audio on it. You can hear it in the background, and Mike's looking. He's like,
and it's only because I wasn't sure that's what I heard. So I'm looking at Brad like, did you hear that too, or is something wrong with my headphones?
Oh, you smoking the funny shit tonight? You can't stop.
Farts are funny of a child. Because it's the reenactments of like what happened that are like sending me.
It's gonna be a long fucking night, guys. So yeah, 85 times the distance from the moon, of the moon,
that's
to Earth.
And it's going like away from us, correct?
Well, it's
you
going
said
away from the sun.
But is it like away from the sun close to us, or like away from the sun and not near us? Oh, that was should have been specified, but okay.
The only important thing. Guys, we got some attitude tonight. Should have been specified.
I mean, I would like to know if there's something flying towards Earth, like, but I'm so assuming since they,
they never mentioned that.
That's why I'm assuming it's not obviously flying towards us. I would hope they would say something
because it's. But well, I mean, it'd be instantaneous death, anyways. But obviously, it wasn't important, right? Because otherwise, they would. If it had come and swung around Earth, that'd be a whole nother fucking story, and it probably would have thrown us off so much that they wouldn't have needed to tell us. It probably would have happened before they knew, you know.
I mean,
but
in terms of stuff that is relatively very close to us. So
yeah,
but they've had things that have actually like threaded the needle between us and the moon. There's been asteroids that have shot right in between us.
Yeah.
So 85 times further than the moon, it's not that close. I mean, in comparison to what's been.
How big were they compared to the ones that needled?
Cool. Yeah, obviously it wasn't important, right? That's why it's not mentioned. It's the sun because it came in and went around the sun, and the important details have to do with it coming as it comes away from the sun, right?
Okay.
So
yeah, true.
It was estimated to be approximately 300 to 3,000 feet long. They're not 100% sure. The width and thickness both estimated to be between 115 to 548 feet.
So we're looking at something like the size of like a
football
massive cruise ship.
Yeah, they kept mentioning, football fields, but then again, that obviously is all dependent. I mean, 300 to 3,000. Well, that's a
difference.
Big range there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but
I think the cruise ship I went on back in the day was pretty close to 1,000 feet.
Yeah,
it was like 900.
They're massive.
Yeah, so
they are.
I can imagine.
It's always amazed me how tall they are.
Yeah, standing next to something like that. So possibly even bigger than that.
Yeah. So it was reddish in color, similar to objects in the outer solar system.
Reddish in color.
Okay. Yeah, the part I took away from that was similar to objects in the outer solar system. I'm like, well, how do we know it came from deep space? Oh, we'll get there. Despite the close approach to the sun, there's no signs of having a coma. So it exhibited non-gravitational acceleration. Okay, obviously it came around the sun and starts going away from the sun, and that's when it started exhibiting some acceleration, which is not normal unless there's outgassing.
See, now the first thing I thought of that when I first heard that is I was thinking like, when they send out our what's the probe that we sent out?
Galileo.
A long time ago, like in the 70s.
Voyager. There's two of them, I think.
Okay. So I believe they sent that to do a slingshot thing around a planet to pick up speed.
Yeah.
So I was thinking something like that. Like, I wonder if it slingshotted around the sun and was able to pick up speed using the sun's gravity.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. The thing is once that portion had already passed and it was actually moving away from the sun, it showed some signs of acceleration at that point. It sped up, which shouldn't happen unless there is outgassing, which we'll get into. Outgassing. I'm assuming the two of you know what that is. Most of you out there probably do, but we're
talking like rocket propulsion or something.
Well,
something coming out the back end.
Yeah. So outgassing is going to be as something gets closer to, let's say, this object, right? Let's say it was a comet or asteroid, whatever the hell, and there's ice in it, right?
Okay.
Tons of water inside. It's frozen. When it gets closer to the sun, that heats up. It gets to the closest point, swings around, or whatever the deal is. That stuff just, vaporizes, turns to gas, and shoots out the back end, right? Because it's coming in around, and it doesn't matter if there's outgassing on the side, because the gravitational effects of the sun are so great, it's still going to pull it around, outgassing or not. And as it comes around the backside and starts going away from the sun, now the back of this fucker is heated up. So the outgassing is now coming out of the back, right? Because that's all the stuff that's...
The gas always comes out opposite of the sun because it's the solar wind. I guarantee you.
Nope.
A comet, when a comet's going, a comet's tail can be in front of it.
Well, in these terms, the outgassing would be coming out the back. I'm talking about once it's going away from the sun.
Okay.
So now the sun is hitting it in the back.
Okay.
So all that inside is getting heated up. The water's turning out to gas and coming out the back now.
Okay.
And that's what should be causing the acceleration once it's already moving away from the sun.
So I wonder if it could be using like the same principle as like a solar sail, like the solar wind pushing. I wonder if that's even possible.
We'll get there. I believe that's in here. In this particular instance, no.
I would think no, because everything I've always heard of a solar sail is it usually takes a very small object with a ginormous sail, because it's very little pressure pushing, but it's built up constantly over time.
Right.
So
yeah, I think there's some stuff in here about that. I know I actually saw something the other night with Avi Loeb, and he had mentioned that, and he was like, nope, can't be. Here's why. Yeah. He's like, that's immediately what we all thought, but there's some things why. And we'll get there.
I can see that.
So it exhibited the non-gravitational acceleration, possibly from outgassing or push from solar radiation pressure. That is most likely your solar sail idea, but we'll get there. Rotation rate was similar to solar system asteroids. Its light curve present sits the light curve presents its motion as tumbling rather than spinning. Okay. And moving sufficiently fast relative to the sun, therefore likely of extrasolar origin. Now, here's where your solar sail comes in. It was tumbling. So if this thing were, say, flat, then your solar sail idea, right, might be sufficient. However, this thing's tumbling. And this was the point Avi Loeb had made was, sure, there might have been a possibility that it could be being pushed from the sun, the light, the rays, whatever, like a solar sail. However, it couldn't have been because it was tumbling. So,
well, even so, it would be such a small amount of
it wouldn't matter.
Force, and you know, an object that size it doesn't have a sail, and that thing is kind of shaped like I don't know. Let's just say it's shaped like a football. It doesn't have anything catching like a sail, you know.
Right. Well, if the object was flat and it was moving away from the sun, and the whole flat side was facing the sun, then maybe, right? But that wasn't the case because it's tumbling. Its planetary system of origin and age is obviously unknown. It's remarkable for its extrasolar origin, high obliqueness, and observed acceleration without an apparent coma. So the coma is what you're going to get when you have outgassing, which there was none. Well, none visible. Let me say that.
Could outgassing, if you know, I don't know anything about, you know, what causes it, but if it's solid rock, then would it be an idea that you're not going to see it? Is this only if it's like something made of ice that can melt?
That would be my assumption. You have to have something in there. We're going to get more into this, so some of that will be explained. But you're looking at nitrogen ice or hydrogen ice. There's different kinds, right, that are going to burn up once they start getting, you know, superheated. So there's different forms, of course. By July 2019, so about 2 years later, most astronomers concluded that it was a natural object. So proposed explanations. A remnant of a disintegrated rogue comet. We have a piece of an exoplanet rich in nitrogen ice, similar to Pluto. We're not getting into Pluto again tonight, Stevie. Source.
Poor Pluto.
Yeah.
Poor Pluto.
So in March 2023, astronomers proposed the observed acceleration was due to the release of entrapped molecular hydrogen that formed through energetic processing of an H2O-rich ice body, consistent with Oumuamua being an interstellar comet, originating as a planetesimal relic broadly similar to solar system comets. So, again, proposed is the key word here. Not 100% known, just proposed ideas is all we're still talking about here, guys. So this isn't, they're still not definitive. So a number of astronomers have suggested that it could be a product of extraterrestrial technology, I'm sure we've all heard that in the news when this happened. However, there's insufficient evidence to support any hypothesis, despite all of its strangeness. Observations. So Oumuamua has a reddish hue and an unsteady brightness, which are typical of asteroids. The unsteady brightness, I believe, from everything I was finding, was the tumbling. So let's say it was flat, and boom, now it's facing Earth with, however they're going to see it here. Now it's going to be bright as it turns and it gets to the flat side, the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Your brightness is going to dim, darkest, brighter,
So
brighter,
it flips
brighter,
again.
Yeah.
It reflects like light off, like you said, the evaporating ice or water. Yeah.
Right. Well, no, just off of the object itself, not.
Yeah. Oh, well, I would just assume that, like, if the ice and water was like possibly evaporating as it was flying, maybe like the light would hit the particles, making it reflect. Or that's what I was thinking.
So that's where you'd see the coma, if that was happening, which there was none, right? So the reflection, the reflection that's being referred to is simply off the object.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah,
I thought that was just like adding to it. I'm sorry.
Focus. Hey, it's late.
Some of this I don't understand, so like
if you don't understand something, stop me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So and I will explain in my best scientifically knowledgeable terms I can, which I know none. So yeah, either of you. If there's anything you don't understand, you got a question?
Yeah, and the stuff that I'm talking, it's just stuff I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea. I haven't really researched any of this.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since I saw the show on it or the little podcast.
And I mean that's how you come to conclusions, anyways, right?
Yeah.
Don't wait till the end, because then we forget. It's easier when you're doing it. So, they detected no unusual radio emissions. No narrowband signals were found. Neither of those mean anything to me, but putting it out there just in case. It'll mean something to someone listening someday. The trajectory. All right. So it roughly came from the direction of Vega in the constellation Lyra, Lyra. Not that we know where that is, but you can easily look that up. So that's where it came from, that direction. Its incoming direction of motion is the most likely direction from which objects coming from outside the solar system should approach. So basically they're saying, due to past knowledge of things coming in from the outer solar system, their hypothesis is basically, yes, they should be approaching from the same area this was. Okay. By mid-November, astronomers were certain that it was an interstellar object. Jesus, guys, I had 3 martinis tonight. I'm just letting you know. I never even got buzzed, but clearly there might be a brain issue or a mouth issue or both. Maybe more. Outgassing. What? No comment over there from Stevie. She just nods her head. Nope.
I'm just trying not to make you laugh and just let you just do your thing.
No, make me laugh. Make me laugh. Based on observation, so back to trajectory here. Based on observation spanning 80 days, Oumuamua's eccentricity, which is its orbit, 0 being circular. So if they assign it a number for eccentricity, this is its orbit. So 0 being a circular orbit, 0 to 1 being elliptical, 1 is parabolic escape orbit. Greater than 1 is hyperbola. I don't know what that means, but basically 1 or more is going to be escaping its orbit around the sun. Its eccentricity is so high that it could not have been obtained through an encounter with any of the planets in the solar system. Even undiscovered planets in the solar system, ring a bell, Stevie? Undiscovered planets in the solar system.
X,
so they'd probably be referring to what we talked about last night, Planet X. What's up, Mike?
So are we talking about this thing has escape velocity from our solar system? This thing came from deep space, came in, curved around, and is going to escape our solar system again.
Right.
It just shot straight out.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. They, like I said, they mentioned that was the number assigned was very high. So it could not have been obtained through an encounter with any of the planets in the solar system. So my thinking on that, without finding any explanations on that, is it's not like something passing by and maybe gravity from one of the other planets kind of turned it into a direction where it's going to head down towards the sun, right?
Okay.
This thing was coming in so damn hot that nothing in our solar system other than the sun had an effect on it. It just said, screw you, I'm still going, guys. Mm-hmm. So even undiscovered planets in the solar system, if any should exist, could not account for Oumuamua's trajectory, nor boost its speed to the observed value. For these reasons, it can only be of interstellar origin. Now, I find that interesting. And Stevie, we're going to have to think back to last night for a second on Planet X. I'm curious how they can say that it couldn't have even been affected by a possible other planet that could be in our solar system that we don't even know about, because Planet X, as we talked about last night, is possibly massive, and they firmly believe it's out there. They just don't know where. They know nothing about this possible planet. How can they say that it didn't, couldn't have been affected?
I don't know what you guys did last night, but obviously this Planet X, I've done a little research on Planet X before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if this is what you guys talked about, but
let's hear it.
I read that this Planet X has like an elliptical trajectory, and it goes so far out that it takes like a million years or something like that to get back into this section of the solar system. And that they even said that as it comes back in, it can throw other objects out of whack. And they almost were saying that could have caused like the global catastrophe that extinct the dinosaurs,
right?
Where it basically is throwing meteors like wild.
I would imagine they don't know for sure that Planet X even exists.
Correct.
If they do, it's going to be the 9th planet. What their estimation is that it may take between 10 and 20,000 Earth years to make one full orbit around the sun. So I'm jumping back to the show notes last night from Planet X. I have up there, pretty short show. But yeah, I think Stevie, you and I were talking about that as well. Like if that little biatch comes back in our lifetime, I would highly assume that something's going to get trashed somewhere in here, in our known current solar system.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I remember reading is as it came back into our solar system, that it was throwing things out of whack, meteors that wouldn't otherwise be heading towards Earth, that was pushing them to us.
Well, one of the ideas I proposed to Stevie last night was, who's to say that's not going to affect something like the tides of our water on our planet? And just that alone could be catastrophic, or like majorly, like biblical proportions, supposedly catastrophic. No joke. I'll just give you some quick facts here, or one or two on Planet 9, Planet X. They say it could have a mass about 10 times that of Earth and orbit about 20 times farther from the sun on average than Neptune. So think of the distance between the sun and Neptune. 20 times that is where they believe it may reside. Not known though. That's pretty much it on that. But so with the Oumuamua, they're saying that even an unknown planet out there couldn't have affected this. I'm like, well, how do you know what you don't know?
You assumptions.
Yeah, and with this Planet X thing, Mike, one of the main reasons they believe there may be another planet in our solar system, but just redonkulously far out, is because they've found 5 different objects which are in the Kuiper Belt that have really odd trajectories, orbits, whatever they are, that just don't fit. So they believe that there's something out there that's affecting that, and they believe that may be another planet. But we also got on binary star systems the other night too, right, Stevie?
Yes, we did.
And it's believed that we used to be part of a binary star system. The majority of star systems out there, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think they said it's about 85% they believe are binary star systems, and they believe we used to be in a binary star system. The other star just died out. So my question is, because I don't know much about stars, guys, but what happens when a star dies? Is there any physical remnant left?
Yes. Like stars have an iron core,
right? So how large are we talking? Could that be what they may think is the 9th planet? May not even be a planet, right? But could there be something from that leftover binary star that's still out there, just screwing with us? Who knows? So Oumuamua, the pull of the sun's gravity caused it to speed up until it reached its maximum speed of. Anybody want to take a guess on this fucker's speed?
Super fast.
Nope.
I don't even know the numbers. I don't even know the numbers to even start to begin to
we can easily say you can start way over 30,000 miles per hour, because orbits, typical orbits. Yeah. Okay. Well, typical orbits of if I'm not mistaken, things re-entering the Earth, like our ships and stuff, whatever, about 20 to 30,000 miles an hour, right?
What?
Yeah, that's on our stuff coming in, but meteors are going per second.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is, if you're gonna guess a number way higher than 30,000 miles per hour. I'll just spill the news here. Maximum speed was 196,200 miles per hour. So they just cut the 200 off.
Wow.
196,000 miles an hour. Oh my God. But in reality, how fast are we actually traveling through space? Our whole solar system, our galaxy, So this might shed some light. Oh God, who asked the question? How close to Earth, Stevie? It passed beyond Earth orbit 10 to 14 closest approach distance. Interesting verbiage of 15,040,000 miles from Earth.
Oh, okay.
So
that sounds a lot farther away than 85 moons.
Yeah. And space is huge, right? Like from here you see all the stars, and it seems massive, but it seems a lot more massive than we really know. You go out there and it's just infinitesimal. The vastness in space, that distance from Earth, that was sorry, I screwed up my wording there. That was October 14th, I believe, was its closest approach. So October 14th was its closest approach distance from Earth, 15 million miles. It passed beyond the orbit of Mars on November 1st. So less than a month later, passed less than a month from its closest approach to Earth to Mars, less than a month. Passed beyond the orbit of Mars November 1st, passed beyond Jupiter's orbit May 2018, so a few months away. Passed beyond Saturn's orbit in January 2019, so now we're seeing it starting to get spread apart a bit. And beyond Neptune's orbit in 2022. There was some time between Saturn and Neptune for some reason, but
did it slow down that much from?
Well, I don't know.
Or is it just like that far of a distance where it just really would take that long? Like, again, I guess I have like no concept of how many millions of miles are between planets.
Right. So we'd need to know the distance from Earth to Mars, the distance from Mars to Jupiter, and then Jupiter to Saturn, then Saturn to Neptune, to really see, well, what are the variances there? And I don't know. Nothing was mentioned, so I'm sure it's nothing unnormal, you know? But yeah, good point. I mean, I was thinking the same thing, like, wow, well, there's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Maybe it stopped at a local space bar.
They stopped to take some pictures.
Stopped to take some pictures of Earth. So
stopped to take pictures of the rings of Saturn, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. So it will continue to slow down until it reaches a speed of a mere 58,900 miles per hour relative to the sun, the same speed it had before its approach to the solar system. It's interesting how they know it will slow down to that. So non-gravitational acceleration. So here's where we're going to get into outgassing and things like that. So on June 27, 2018, astronomers reported a non-gravitational acceleration to Oumuamua's trajectory, potentially consistent with a push from solar radiation pressure. The resulting change, I'm sorry, a lot of this is wordy, but it's kind of important because, you know, they explain possibility, why it's not possible, possibility, why it's not. Potentially consistent with a push from solar radiation. The resulting change in velocity during the period when it was near its closest approach to the sun summed to about 17 meters per second. Initial speculation as to the cause of the acceleration pointed to the comet-like outgassing. Although no such tail of gases was observed following the object, researchers estimated that enough outgassing may have increased the object's speed without the gases being detectable. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to look at the speed of other objects that come in and how they look without gassing. And is it, you know, can we take two of those objects that were similar in size that both had outgassing, but one may have been traveling 100,000 miles an hour faster than the other? Did the outgassing appear to be less? And can we determine that it was because of the speed and not something else? You know,
I would think the shape of the object would have a lot to do with it.
That too, yeah.
You know, like how you were saying, if it was, you know, something that could catch like something flat that can catch that wind, that solar wind, or you know, or not.
Definitely. So a critical reassessment of the outgassing hypothesis argued that instead of the observed stability of Oumuamua's spin, outgassing would have caused its spin to rapidly change due to its elongated shape, resulting in the object tearing apart. I mean, it's kind of already spinning, well, more tumbling, right? But they're just saying that the outgassing would have just caused it to be so rapid it would have just torn apart out there. The closeness of Oumuamua's velocity to the local standard of rest might mean that it has circulated the Milky Way, so our entire galaxy. It may have circulated the Milky Way several times and thus may have originated from an entirely different part of the galaxy. So, indications of origin. Where could it possibly have come from? Speculated that the object may have been ejected from a stellar system some 45 million years ago. Damn. I mean, it's so hard to fathom a time like that.
Yeah.
You know, 45 million years. You think,
how would they
really...
like figure that out?
Yeah, my guess is by looking at the trajectory, you know, and you know, possibly calculating where other things are and where they would have been, so you might get a better idea of where it would have come from. And well, there was nothing. Let's say there was nothing along its trajectory, which means couldn't have come from any of that. So my guess
is having to try and figure out where those stars were 45 million years ago. And
AI.
We're talking about a giant spinning galaxy.
But who's to say that like it
tough.
didn't?
But who's to say it even came from the galaxy?
Correct.
And who's to say that it came in a straight trajectory? Like who's to say it didn't, encounter the same issue and get sent in a totally opposite direction in which it came?
Yeah. How do we know?
That's why I'm just like mind blown over here.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. How do we know this thing didn't pass through Zeta Testiculi around one of its stars and get
shot out of there?
Stevie didn't pick up on that. You didn't get that joke?
No.
If you guys got that joke, comment down below. Mike got it. I saw the smirk. I was talking fast, but I'll see if I can spit it out again here soon. But yeah, I completely agree. How do we know it didn't pass through another star system and another solar system and get spun around their star? I'd assume they have some signs, but so about 1.3 million years ago, the object may have passed within a distance of 0.52 light years, so half a light year, to the nearby star. Guys, I'm not going to read this. It's a bunch of letters and numbers, TYC, and then a bunch of numbers.
Okay.
But I will read it in case you care. 4742-1027-1.
Wow. Okay. And how far away is that bundle of numbers?
Don't know.
Okay.
Well, that's just the name of the star. So
it's a bundle of numbers.
Yeah, I know. So let me reread it. They said about 1.3 million years ago, the object may have passed within a distance of half a light year to the nearby star. There's the name of the star. But its velocity is too high to have originated from that star system, and it probably just passed through the system's Oort cloud at a relative speed of about 34,000 miles an hour. There we are, back to the general, around 30,000, 40,000 miles an hour. April 2020, astronomers presented a new possible scenario for the object's origin. According to one hypothesis, Oumuamua could be a fragment from a tidally disrupted planet. If true, this would make Oumuamua a rare object of a type much less abundant than most extrasolar dusty snowball comets or asteroids. However, this scenario leads to cigar-shaped objects, whereas Oumuamua's light curve favors a disc-like object. I'm glad one of you kind of cheered up on that. So, disc-like object.
That's not what I remember about Oumuamua, but
what you remember is the cigar. You didn't see any pictures of it. What you saw were artist renditions of it. You
none
saw
of them looked
pictures.
None of them looked like a disc.
Nope. They look like a elongated, like a cigar-shaped
space
object,
turd.
which is space turd.
Space turd.
It's a space turd that came from Zeta Testiculi. She got it this time, folks. Brownie points for Stevie. Mike got it again. Yeah, the common picture that they've thrown out there, and this is not a picture of Oumuamua. They never even saw it. They just saw the light. The common picture we see isn't just artist renditions of a cigar-shaped, rocky-looking turd flying through space. That's all it is, right? But they don't know for a fact that that's what it is. We are going to get more into that here. However, even though it may appear to be, they may think it may be a disc-like shape, that doesn't mean that from this side, it doesn't look like a long, rocky turd. So they may have their best descriptions from light from when it was like that. I don't know, but there's reasons that they've said, possibly something that was made, fabricated, versus.
I'm surprised they didn't get any pictures of it.
I think speed had something to do with that. 196,000 miles an hour. Yeah. Those are all the pictures I've seen. We'll pull some stuff up soon.
Yeah.
We'll double check on that.
I would just think from those observatories.
Tell you what, let me cut you off real quick. So you keep talking. I'm going to look up, because I want to make sure, for sure, that there were no pictures. To my knowledge, and from what I recall reading, there's none.
I'm sure you're probably right. Maybe I just remember seeing an artist rendition.
Yes.
I'm just very surprised that you would think, like, with all the observatories, I would assume that they would have, like, digital telescope recordings of what they're looking at or something like that, or pointing the Hubble telescope towards it, which I know is it takes a lot for them to use the Hubble telescope. I think all of the hours that they use on the Hubble are it's like decided by a group of people what they're going to use, like who it's going to look at, or what it's going to look at, what objects, and for how long.
That is crazy.
This very deep combined image shows the interstellar object Oumuamua at the center of the image. It's surrounded by trails of faint stars, blah, 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 smeared. Here is what they saw. Boom. It's all light. So they see Oumuamua right there in that blue circle. It's all light. It's moving too fast. They can't.
Awesome picture of it. So descriptive.
I have some pretty cool pictures of a semi-recent fire out here, and a helicopter still dropping water on this fire at night.
Oh, cool.
And getting just a completely open shutter for about 15 to 30 seconds, sometimes longer, of the helicopter coming down from the top of the hill, taking off, coming down, doing an orbit, dumping the water and going back up. And it's cool because its exposure's open long enough so you can see the hills in the background dark.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you can't see the helicopter, but you just see the flashes of lights because their strobes on the helicopters are different than airplanes.
Oh, wow.
Like, bink, 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 bink. So you see the strobes going around. It looks pretty cool.
I want to see that one.
That's what this that's what reminds me of this. Reminds me this of, guys. That's what this reminds me of. Yeah, ignore me. Don't ignore me. Ignore me. I don't care. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. Gotta stop sharing. There we go. So, yeah, no real pictures of Oumuamua. Sorry, guys. All you've seen are artist renditions. But that's confusing when you start reading some of this and you think about what we've always seen, which is not what was actually seen. We just saw light. So,
yeah, I mean, it was over a year ago that I remember reading this story, and it was on a YouTube thing. So I think they probably just threw up some renditions on the screen.
Yeah. And I'll throw those up for you guys too. I mean, you've all seen them, but I'll throw them up just in case. Keep in mind, those aren't pictures of Oumuamua. Those are just artist renditions of what was described to them. Right. Yeah. However, again, back to this last sentence, the scenario leads to cigar-shaped objects, whereas Oumuamua's light curve favors a disc-like object. Favors. It doesn't say it is. It just says it favors it, Studies submitted in October 2018 suggest that the object is neither an asteroid nor a comet, although the object could be a remnant of a disintegrated interstellar comet. So, appearance, you got something, Mike?
I was just going to say, so maybe like something smashed into a comet, broke it apart, it's a piece of it, or something like that, or another body, just like a piece of something?
Yeah, I mean, disintegrated, so, I look at, if we were a binary star system, that other star is no longer, maybe a piece of that, something broke apart in there. Yeah, something massive floating around out there that got slammed into by something else. Hell, I mean, you think of these large objects that hit the moon back in the day, or other planets in our system, or something else elsewhere, and huge chunks just chipping off,
Yeah. Pretty sure we talked about that last night as well.
Yep. Yep. Possibility on life, I mean.
Yeah.
So, appearance, shape, and composition. So red, featureless, not rotating around its principal axis, and possibly tumbling. Okay. So featureless, for some reason, featureless sticks out in my mind.
Especially after the disc shape comment. Yes.
Yeah, and I think the reason why is, number one, we see the artist renditions we've always seen, the long nutty turd. That's what it looks like. But it's featureless. If it's featureless, how can we just so easily describe that?
Maybe by featureless, it's like mountainless or like craterless, but it's not perfectly smooth.
Well,
maybe that's what the artist was trying to like envision. Like there's still texture, but it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Extreme.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just trying to get in the artist's head here, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you think about the possibly disc shape, and that is what's favored, then you think of featureless makes perfect sense. Right? Pretty much featureless if it's a disc shaped. Large variations on the light curves indicate that Oumuamua may be anything from a highly elongated cigar-like object, comparable to or greater than the most elongated solar system objects, to an extremely flat object, a pancake or oblate spheroid. However, the size and shape have not been directly observed, as Oumuamua appears as nothing more than a point source of light, even in the most powerful telescopes. That answers the question. It was only observed as light. Neither its albedo nor its triaxial ellipsoid shape is known. 2019 paper finds the best models as either a cigar shape, 1:8 aspect ratio, or disc shape, 1:6 aspect ratio, with the disc more likely since its rotation does not require a specific orientation to see the range of brightness observed. So more and more studies, they keep going to disc shape. 2021 paper found that the extreme shape was likely a result of recent evaporation, and that when the object entered the solar system, it likely had an unremarkable 2-to-1 aspect ratio. The authors calculated that a month after perihelion, its point in orbit closest to the sun, that Oumuamua had lost 92% of the mass that it had upon entering the solar system. That I thought was pretty interesting when I read that.
So maybe it's featureless because the features melted?
Yeah, well, just its general possible shape, resulting in a possible approximately 90% loss of most of it.
That's a lot.
That tells you, I mean, yeah, this thing could have been mostly some form of ice, hydrogen, water, whatever, nitrogen. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. It still doesn't really, I mean, you still got to think what we're left with and what we're seeing now is still an odd shape.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that goes to something one of you mentioned earlier, Stevie. How do we know it didn't go around some other star and some other system and some other galaxy? Well, all that crap, if it did lose 92%, it lost that because it didn't hit anything in our solar system. If it did lose 92% of its mass, that was most likely due to outgassing, coming closer to the sun at some point where we didn't even see it yet. That would have already happened somewhere else.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
Think about that and how far back in time they're saying this thing came from. Light curve observation suggests the object may be composed of dense metal-rich rock that has been reddened by millions of years of exposure to cosmic rays. It's thought that its surface contains tholins, which are irradiated organic compounds that are more common in objects in the outer solar system and can help determine the age of the surface. Despite the lack of any cometary coma when it approached the sun, it may still contain internal ice, hidden by an insulating mantle produced by long-term cosmic ray exposure. So a possibly a dense metal rich rock. And what did you say about a star when it's done, Mike?
So earlier I said the star has an iron core. I don't know that that's for sure. I'd have to look. But what I do know is all of the denser materials fall to the core, whatever that material might be. I don't know if it's iron. Right. It's just the densest thing I could think of. But yeah, it should be like a dense metal at the core.
Right. So think again of us being a binary star system in the past, and that star is obviously already done. Just to say that's not what that is.
Off the top of my head, I want to say it's iron, but yeah, I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, dense metal rich anyway. So in November 2019, some astronomers noted that Oumuamua may be a cosmic dust bunny due to its very lightweight and fluffy conglomerate of dust and ice grains.
So I wonder what makes it red, actually. What mineral would make it red, or what compound?
They said that up there. Let me...
Okay, because iron...
I should point out...
silver gray.
The Earth has an iron core as well, too.
Oh.
So planets also.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something else. To answer your question, Stevie, I'm going to have to find it up here. The red hue, I believe they said, had to do with basically its exposure in space.
Oh, okay.
Due to the amount of time it's been out there.
Okay.
Basically is what they're saying caused that.
So okay.
In August 2020, astronomers reported that Oumuamua is not likely to have been composed of frozen hydrogen, which had been proposed earlier. The compositional nature of the object continues to be unknown. So we can get rid of hydrogen outgassing. My guess is the reason they say that is because they would have seen a coma around it if the speeding up as it went away from the sun was from hydrogen, right?
Right.
So nitrogen ice theory. Outgassing of nitrogen ice could explain why no outgassing was detected. Nitrogen ice, the size of Oumuamua, could survive for 500 million years in the interstellar medium and would reflect 2/3 of the sun's light. This explanation has been further supported in March 2021 when scientists presented a theory based on nitrogen ice and further concluded that Oumuamua may be a piece of exoplanet similar to the dwarf planet Pluto. An exopluto, as noted, from beyond our solar system. This theory has been criticized by Avi Loeb. In November 2021, theoretical studies by Suraj and Avi Loeb hypothesized that Oumuamua was not a nitrogen iceberg. So hydrogen-laden water ice theory. 2023, it was proposed the observed non-gravitational acceleration and spectrum of Oumuamua could be best explained by hydrogen outgassing from the water ice matrix. The buildup of the hydrogen in the water ice is expected to happen in the interstellar comets due to low temperature water ice radiolysis by cosmic ray particles, while Oumuamua or similar cometary body was in interstellar space. So those are just obviously theories. So that's it for the details on Oumuamua. That's mostly what there is out there. I don't know. I mean, they're still doing interviews, Avi Loeb, all them, blah, blah, blah. They're interesting to watch. I highly recommend anybody go watch them because you might get some better explanations on things. But the shapes are interesting, and combined with this whole turmoil when this happened of I mean it's still kind of there too, of possible technology being sent in. You know, we don't see outgassing. Could it have been some type of what's the word I'm looking for, Mike? Like a device sent in just to
like a probe?
Like a probe just to peek at us. Long turd probe come peek at us. I don't know. I mean, what have your thoughts been on this Oumuamua, Mike? from everything you've heard, not just tonight, but I mean previously.
I don't think it's extraterrestrial. As far as it's not like I don't think it's
natural, not made by something.
That's my gut feeling. I know it's exhibited some strange behavior, something we haven't seen before.
Right.
And I can't explain that, but
the universe is so damn vast. We've probably only seen a small fraction of things where if something does come this direction, or we're able to actually see something, just light, whatever, way the F out there, I mean, there's probably tons of things that we're going to see in the future that we're going to be like, oh my God, that looks so weird. But it's only weird until it's known, and then it's not. It's normal. Yeah. But
yeah, it's interesting, and it's a shame that we didn't get a chance to study this in better detail and get some better pictures and better scientific testing of it. But
had they seen it coming, I think we would have. We definitely would have had more data.
Yeah,
yeah.
What do you think, Stevie? Again, not just from tonight, but what you've heard in the past of Oumuamua.
So I've heard of it, like I said, but I didn't know really too much. Like, I vaguely recall it. Like, I know that it was a comet, and I remember a lot of like chatter about it a couple of years ago, but I just don't remember too much.
Not a comet.
Not a comet. You're right. I'm sorry. Not a comet.
We know that now. I would have said the same thing because I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
This particular object, though, I agree. I don't think it's extraterrestrial. Not a scientist. I'm just going to take their words from what they have learned about it. And who am I to argue? I'm going to put my faith in them and say they know best. This is what it is. However, I do have my own questions, but at the same time, if someone tried to answer them, I'm sure I would be like, what?
Right.
Yeah, but extraterrestrial, no. Interesting, absolutely. Again, we've studied a fraction of the universe as it is. Like the known universe as we know it still, to the extent of science, is
it's just known that
small.
It's a universe.
Yeah. It's still very.
That's all we know.
Yeah, but just the millions of galaxies within just the known part is just still a small fraction in itself. So who knows? Like, we only have a couple hundred years of recorded, history and watching the stars accurately. Well, I mean, a couple thousand really on that, but accurately recording it. So who knows? It might be new to us, but it might be a common thing that we just didn't know about. You never know.
Yeah, and. Yeah, so I'll give you my idea real quick. It's not too far off from that, and then I'm want to bring something up we talked about the last show. I want to bring it up for Mike, and Mike and I have talked about this before. I want to kind of get his idea on this. It's just interesting. Probably don't even need to, but Oumuamua. I mean, I'm going to go with the common idea that's out there from the professionals. Of course, proof. Facts, evidence. We're going to start calling them on the show the PFEs. Get used to it, because we're going to need that for Bob Lazar when we eventually get there, because there's a lot of BS in there. Not BS as in he's lying. Don't know. But there's so much, right? PFEs, proof, facts, evidence. Obviously, I'm going to have to go with the professionals. What I find interesting about it is how these super smart dudes like Avi Loeb are still out there fighting that this thing is still very peculiar, even for something that we've not witnessed before. And they're still associating that with the possible cigar-like shape or possible disc-like shape. And to me, I find that important, because right now, in the last less than a decade, we've had this whole nother flap UFO, UAP things going on. A lot more people are seeing crap, unexplainable. And now they're coming out, Oumuamua, possibly cigar-like shape, possibly disc-like shape. Well, my God, disc-like shape, everybody's mind is going to go to a silver disc from Roswell. Oh, cigar-like shape, everyone's going to go to a goddamn Tic Tac, but cigar-like shapes have been presented much farther in the past than that as well, and more current. And it's like, we got to be careful. And I'm talking to the professionals that do this stuff, like Avi Loeb and others that put the stuff out there. Let's not build up the hype too much, because it might not quite be that. But then again, I gotta trust what they're saying, and he thinks it's really that strange. Then I believe it. I mean, I'm not out there studying it,
Right.
but I always go back to that with Oumuamua and wonder, well, what's really making them associate all this together and keeping this as just really, really strange? Because he's fighting it. He's really fighting it. Yeah. So we talk about the vastness of the universe, right? Our galaxy, and then the other galaxies out there. I mean, they're infinitesimal. And so I gave Stevie a example last night of this had to do with Planet X, and we were talking about the vastness of space and universe and all that jazz. And something I brought up something that you and I've talked about before. It was just an example of just a hypothesis, just a theory of, I think Stevie had mentioned, you use very specific word that I called you out on, not negatively, but you had said maybe there's things out there we're not supposed to know.
Those two, yeah.
So I had questioned her on that. I said, well, when you use the word supposed to, and this isn't what she meant, but this is how I took it, use the word we're not supposed to know, that would indicate intelligent design.
Yeah.
That's not what she meant. Okay. And then we got into it about that, and she made her point and it made sense. So I brought up something we talked about a while back, and I presented an idea to you of just another way of looking at things. And kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, Stevie, but kind of what you meant, I believe, was not that we're not supposed to, like we were intelligently created, but it's just so vast, like we may never be able to know, because it's too big, and we're
very
may
simple,
possibly never be able to do it,
because we are humans are still incredibly simple in the whole plan of the universe. We're just very simple creatures,
right?
So
that's so the idea I gave it. Right. So the idea I gave her, what we've talked about before, I look at solar systems, right, and you see a star, and you see these planets doing their thing around them, and then the galaxy itself is flying around.
I know what you're going to say.
Okay, now you get down to the molecular, the atomical level, and you get photons and neutrons and protons, and
there's a pattern.
Do you see a similarity?
Yes,
right?
and I've even seen shows on that particular topic.
I'm gonna have to look some of that up, because I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, I've seen theories about that where everything kind of, it's almost like the pattern that circling a center object, and you have objects going around that seems to have a pattern, not only in the grandiose thing of space, but all the way down to a molecular level.
Yes.
And even the idea of, could we be part of something larger?
Right.
I've actually, not only we talked about it, I've heard stories online about that too.
Right. Yeah. So again, that's kind of what I brought up to her. Started off with that jazz, and then went into the whole, if we are to look down at that level within our own bodies, within our own bloodstream. I mentioned bloodstream because it's moving through, not only is it just moving, it's moving throughout our body, right? Up and down. Who's to say that, like, a solar system in a galaxy isn't just a simple type of, like, blood cell,
right? And
space is just the correct me on my verbiage, I may get this wrong, but like the vehicle, the plasma, or the vehicle that
the
moves,
medium which we travel,
moves that stuff throughout. An ant looking at a human has no clue what it is,
right?
Who's to say we're not that ant, but we're just some molecule inside something larger that could be living, could not, whatever. And we're just moving around in its, similar bloodstream, if you will, just as
The
an example that we
Matrix.
can understand. Right.
Yeah.
Who's to say that that's not what's going on? And, I mean,
It's
I
all a
don't know. I
simulation.
thought that was
It's all a simulation.
Elon. Elon says it's simulation.
There's a couple of people
Hey,
out there who actually say it could
Yeah.
be a simulation. Yeah.
There is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it. I mean, we don't know
It's
what we don't know.
interesting. It's a very interesting, and I'm just going to leave it at that. That's a whole other show. Yeah.
Well, Elon and some other wealthy but smart people, along with about 1,000 other people, have signed a petition. They are trying to pause progress on AI, and they want it done for a
I've
period of
seen
time
that.
so that they
I've seen
can
that.
put some things in place, because
Yes.
they want a lot of controls in place to make sure it can't get out of hand,
That's very
because they
smart.
believe that it may be able to.
We're
Yes.
talking about like
AI.
the Terminator.
Yes and
Terminator,
no, yeah.
Machines taking over the world.
was it I, Robot with Will Smith, or I Am Robot or something like that?
Yeah.
That one. Yep. They had
Yeah.
like the 3 laws, like they can't harm humans, other stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I agree.
they,
AI can be dangerous.
of course,
Yeah.
they want controls in place on how we develop it, and if we start seeing things like we need to stop here, this and that, blah blah blah, to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. I mean, what happens when what we were talking about last night? AI starts thinking about humans and how inferior we are to it. How easy would it be for it to knock us all off if it can access nukes,
Yeah.
missiles,
Mhm.
some way, shape, or form can do that?
And it's all connected online.
Mhm.
So if you have 1 million of those things around the
Right.
world, they could all be connected to each other and do something simultaneously.
Yeah. And but the point I mentioned to Stevie last night on that was, however, the AI should be smart enough to know that if it does do that, that it would essentially be killing itself as well. I mean, it's going to need electricity to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Until
And
it
if it
can
gets smart enough, it can
implant into humans.
Well, it's not.
it can be smart enough to generate its own electricity, run the power plants, plug
Well, the
itself
thing is,
in.
though, like power plants can be ran and everything, but eventually maintenance needs to happen, and that can only happen by a human hand sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if humans aren't here, eventually that system's going to break down. But
Oh, yeah.
look at this.
Life
guys
After
heard of a
Humans is a
tarantula
good
hawk?
show about that. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, tarantula hawks. You've heard of them.
Yeah.
I've
Okay,
seen one.
so-
Ugh.
Okay, so tarantula hawks, number one, you can get stung by them. You're not gonna die.
Terrifying. fuckers.
However, the pain from a tarantula hawk is only, I literally just read up on this because I was curious, because I had seen some in a video. The pain only lasts for about 5 minutes. However, the amount of pain you're going to have in that 5 minutes is just deathly excruciating. It's horrid. There's
Ugh.
people that purposely
Yeah.
stung
Have you ever
themselves
watched
with it.
Coyote Peterson?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you got to look him up.
Oh, I've
All
heard
he
of this
does is-
guy. I've heard of this
Yeah,
guy.
I think it's called Brave Wilderness.
I
Fiction?
might have seen one or
He just
two.
Yeah.
gets,
All he
stung
does is
and
just get
bit
these-
by things. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So the sting
My
from a
boss watches him.
tarantula hawk is supposedly just immensely excruciating, but
Mm.
it's only for 5 minutes. It was really funny what I read there. Like the
I would almost be willing to bet if you Google right now, stung by tarantula hawk, you're going to see
Oh.
Coyote Peterson come up
Mhm.
because he does
Mhm.
all that. I'm pretty sure I've seen
Yeah.
him do that.
I'm sure. So as I was reading and think of AI and what I just said about maybe AI being smart enough at some point to somehow get itself implanted into humans, it would no longer need the electrical grid. Okay.
That's scary.
Tarantula hawk goes to a tarantula, stings it to basically paralyze it, drags it back to its brood, its nest that it already has ready, brings this thing in, still alive. It lays one larva I believe on the belly, I think it was. Or there was a very particular spot.
Mhm.
Lays one egg.
Mm.
This thing grows, attaches, and as it does, it starts feeding on it,
So
and it's
gross.
smart enough, it's a little larva, smart enough to avoid all the critical organs.
Doesn't want to kill it.
The reason why is so
Yeah.
that the tarantula stays alive.
Long enough
oh
for it
my
to develop.
God.
Yeah, that's nature.
Imagine AI
Nature is terrifying.
imagine AI getting smart enough to implant itself into a syringe in a hospital and just creating a pandemic. So everybody needs a vaccine, and nobody knows it's implanted itself in there, and now everyone gets the damn vaccine, and boom.
So I've always
It's just fun to
thought
think about.
that nanobots were also kind of terrifying. Like nanobots that
I don't
can
know much about
replicate
them,
itself.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that to me is like,
yeah, I don't know too much about nanobots either. However, I do know that nanobot technology is, if they were to inject those into you, it's not little robots like people think. It's actually living molecules of
Mhm.
something that have a specific function.
Okay.
But they call them nanobots, but they're not like small computers or chips or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish they changed the name then.
yeah.
That sounds.
I did
you
see
know,
something recently, like a few months ago,
but
and they said that a lot of people make that mistake.
still like genetically, like injecting molecules that are intended to do one thing that could wreak havoc. Like especially
Like
if
they
it's
might
designed
have
to destroy
something that, like maybe
Yeah.
something that goes only after cancer cells or something
True.
like that, you know.
But at
Right.
the same time, someone could, figure out something malicious about it and have it like attack the white blood cells so that you have no immune system.
Right.
It could go either way. That's why I'm like, I don't really know how I feel
Yeah.
about those just yet. Like, I know the technology's been around for a lot, but there's so much bad. Oh, that's pretty even to how much good it could do. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's hope we never get there, guys.
Yeah.
Oumuamua. It's
Mhm.
fun to say, but it's not fun when it slams into your planet, folks. Remember that. Go check out some of the videos with Avi Loeb. But in the meantime, before you even type that in, hit the like button, share, subscribe, please.
Comment
Let's
down
bring
below.
it up a little bit. Yes, comment down below what you like, what you don't like. Screwed something up, let us know.
Mhm.
If you have a personal story of your own, paranormal, Bigfoot sighting, UAPs, UFOs, aliens, abductions, whatever, shoot us an email, obscuredr1@gmail.com. Type story in the subject line so we know that's what it is. And with that, we're going to catch you on the next one, guys. Peace.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.